Hey guys, it's Jen from I Create Crafts. Today I'm going to show you an easy, simple project on how to make 2 of these wooden door hangers. Alright guys, so here is my SVG. I created this myself in Design Space. I saw something similar on Pinterest, so I just created this one and I really like how it turned out. So I cut it out and I'm going to start weeding it out. I did weed out one already, but unfortunately I weeded it the wrong way. I'm supposed to do the reverse weed. So instead of pulling out the letters, I'm supposed to pull out all the other parts. So I have another one here, you can't really see it, it's just black, that I'm going to be weeding out. But I just wanted to show you my design first on Design Space. One thing to mention really quick is when I'm using wood, I use Oracal 631. I was using Oracal 651, but every time I did, it stuck to my wood too much and pulled up my base color. So I am trying the 631. So I'm going to be weeding out this next part. I will show you, I purchased this really awesome nightlight. I purchased this really awesome light off of Amazon. We'll get it turned on. There we go. And then I put my paper or my file over it, and then I can see it really easily. Unfortunately, you cannot see it, but it's glowing up. There we go, a little bit. You can see through it, so it's much easier. You can tell it's an E there. So I will leave the link below for one of these. It's just a Cricut light box, and I absolutely love it, especially when I'm doing hard to see wordings like these. So I'm going to weed this one out. I'm going to do just the opposite of what I did with this one. I'm going to pull back everything else and leave just the letters, so I will have 2 to work with. One more note is I did purchase these boards from Amazon. I think it's a 12 by 12, and they're thin, so they're not very heavy or anything, so it's kind of nice to work with. But I purchased a pack of, I don't know, I think 10 of them maybe came in it for a couple bucks. So I really like these. So this is what I'm going to be working with. Unfortunately, Cricut only goes to like 11.5 by 11.5. So that's what I cut out this one to be. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit on the sides uneven, but I will be able to see how much on each side I can have a gap for. So next step for me to do is just weed this out. I will weed it out and I will show you the next step. A quick note, this bright pad works wonders, especially when you are weeding smaller pieces out like this. The light shines behind your work even when you're using dark colored vinyl like this. I'm using black. You see all the parts that you need to pick out in between. Alright guys, so here comes the fun part. I have my stencil all cut out. I actually made 2 different ones. One I made with it like this, and then the other one is just the words. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to do this one of them a little bit different. So for this one, I'm actually going to put it on here. So I'm just going to carefully not put it down all the way, but carefully find the center pieces of each so that all of it is even around the whole piece. And then I'm going to use a pen and just mark off some lines on here, because for this first one, I'm going to do the words that are in here now are going to be white, and then I want a line that goes under God, and then it's going to be red here in the center, it's going to be blue at the top, and then blue at the bottom. So I need to make one line in the middle here. So the way that I'm going to do this is with it already centered as well as it will be, is I'm just going to take a pen and I'm just going to mark kind of hard on here, where it's just going to go right through the wood into the wood. So I'm going to lift it up, my transfer tape, lift it up, and I see the mark here. And I'm just going to make a mark there. And then the same thing with the top part is I want this God part to be first, so I want all the top to be blue. So I'm just going to take a pen and mark it kind of in the middle part here. Oops, sorry, you can't see. Here we go. Mark it in the middle and mark it kind of harder so it'll go through to my board. And then I want to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to take my mat and then I'm just going to draw another line exactly across from it so I can tell how far apart my words are and my stars are, so I can tell that it's the center. So again, I'm just going to draw a really hard line, and it's going to go right through to the wood, indent it, and then I'm just going to take my pen and draw a little line on it. Then I'm going to do the same for the next part. So I'm going to carefully pull this back I did not push it on hard, so it should just come right off. Okay, put it to the side. Then I'm going to take my Cricut mat again, and here are my 2 lines. You don't have to do it this way. You can skip this part if you don't want to do this and just do it one color. But here is a line here, and then there's a line there, and then here, and also here. So I have 4 lines. So I'm just going to take my mat. I'm going to line them up with each other. And I did actually have a ruler, but my kids went through my desk. So I'm using my mat. So I'm just doing a very light line across. So that will give me the top part so I can do blue, and then the middle part's going to be red. So I'm going to take my mat one more time, and I'm going to line my lines up. And then again, just draw a really thin line across. There. I'll move this, and then here is what we have. So it's exact. The lines are perfect and they're exact. So now I'm going to color. The top part is going to be blue, this bottom part is going to be blue, and then the middle here is going to be red. And then after it dries, I will put my stencil on it, and then I will show you the next step. Alright, so the next part is the painting. Here comes the fun part. So I have just a foam brush, I have my paint, and I'm just going to carefully line up my brush with my line that I had made. You can use painter's tape if you want. I think the fun part about crafting is it's not exact and it's homemade. So I mean, you're doing it yourself rather than buying something. So it's always the fun part. So I don't ever say that there's any messes. There's just always happy little accidents. So I mean, if you go over the line, it's fine. You're not gonna make anything bad. If you were to sell these, I'm just gonna be giving these as presents. If you're gonna be selling these, you know, you might wanna do a little bit of better work on it, but this is how I do it. So I'm just gonna finish doing the bottom here. I've already worked on the top. Okay, so now I let the blue dry. It's completely dry to the touch. And I'm just gonna do the middle of red in the same way. So I'm just gonna take my paintbrush. You can put, like I said, some tape down. I have some painter's tape here, but I figure I'm just gonna try it this way freehand, see how it works. Again, it's handmade, so it's not gonna be perfect. So I'm just gonna carefully just take my brush and start and then just pull down. And then go back in and fill everything in. Alright, so while my other one is drying over here, this is my second one I'm going to be working on. This one I'm just going to do all white for the base color, and then once it dries I'll put my stencil on it and then I can color in my other colors. So I'm just going to quickly do this one white really quick, and then once it dries I will show you the next step. Alright, so both of my signs are done now and dried. So here's the first one, and here is the second one. This is just plain white. So I'm going to take my first file, and this one I'm going to use on the blue and red one, and I'm just going to line it up, again making sure that it's even around the edges, and then just press it down, and then take my scraper that I have. These are amazing. If you don't have one of these, you can use a credit card or like a gift card even. I'm just spreading out and taking all the bubbles out of my vinyl and pressing it onto my board. And then I'm going to carefully peel back, leaving the vinyl on my board. Now I have this on. One thing I like to do, I don't know if it's really necessary or not, but I like to go back and just do another base coat over the top of these just so I don't get any leaks underneath. So that's what I'm going to do really quick. I'm just going to paint the colors over this. It's going to be the same process. So I have this one. It's weeded a little bit differently, and I'm going to find the center all the way around, and then once I like the placement, just do the same thing. Push it down with your fingers, and you take your scraper and you just scrape it on, making sure you get any bubbles out, making sure it's getting a good seal on it, and then again just do the same thing. Oops, and if it doesn't stick, just use your scraper as you go. now it's nice and smooth, but again, I'm still gonna just take my paintbrush and go over this with the white, just very lightly, so that when I do go over with the final paint color, it won't leak through. So I'm just gonna go lightly with this. If you even have makeup applicators, you can most certainly use it for this as well. I'm just going over it very lightly, making sure I'm not peeling anything up. But it's just, again, it's just gonna prevent any peeling or bleeding underneath. So like right here, I can tell it's coming up, so I'm just gonna use my finger. So I like to do the base coat color just in case any pieces are coming up. It's going to be, it's gonna soak in. Okay, so I'm back to the sign. It's all dry. I put my base colors on again just so it wouldn't bleed through. So the next part is to go over with all of it with white now. So I'm just gonna go over everything I just did. Make sure that your paint is dry before you do this next step. Okay, so there I am finished with this one. I'm going to let this dry, and then once it dries, I will peel it off, but I will let this one dry, and I'll work with the next one. So I promise you this will not take you as long if you're just doing one sign. I'm doing both of these to show you two different ways to do this. So my base coat is over as well, so now I'm just gonna go over with, I can't decide if I want to use blue or the red, and I think the blue is kind of light. I don't like how light it is, so I think I'll go over this with the red. And then when you peel it up, you'll have your white words underneath it. So that's what I'm gonna do with this one. Okay, so this one is done as well. Again, it's your preference if you want to pull it up when it's wet or if it's dry. I'm gonna leave it until it's completely dry, and then I will peel it up. So I'm gonna let these two dry, and then I'll be back when it is done drying. Here comes the fun part. My board is completely dry. I am just going to carefully peel it up from one edge. Looks pretty cool so far, guys. Now I just need to go in with my tool. I got this at Harbor Freight. I don't use the Cricut brands. I always get the cheap ones. So I'm just gonna go in and carefully peel out the middle pieces now. And so far so good. I am not peeling up any of my base paint that was on here because I'm using the 631 instead of the 651. So that is a big game changer right there. So I'm just gonna do the same thing with this red one. I'm just gonna peel up all the vinyl pieces that are laying underneath here. I will fast forward this so you don't have to watch this. I just did it the same way as I did my last one. I think the last one turned out absolutely amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. I really loved how these turned out. I created a bow to go with these and also used the ribbon to create a hanger on the back. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you create your own 4th of July wooden door hanger. Happy crafting, everybody!